ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have the rock star Andrea Valdez here. Andrea, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming on and taking the time.
Dude, absolutely.
All right, Andrea. So we like starting off our podcast pretty much just to get your guys' story and kind of get some information about yourself. So who is Andrea Valdez and what is your story?
I don't know about the rock star thing, but I'm an athlete.
You're pretty badass.
That's real nice.
Yeah.
I'm an athlete, an author, a coach, a podcast host now. So athlete-wise, grew up in gymnastics and cheerleading, competed in that for a couple decades, then figure, powerlifting, currently trying to be in this sport called the Grid League, which nobody knows about. We don't talk about it, but it's like team CrossFit. I have to learn how to Olympic lift, and I get to use my gymnastic skills. An author, most recently, I did the Muscle and Strength Pyramids with Eric Helms, who I know you've had, and Andy Morgan. And then amazing. Thank you. Yeah, that was a huge deal for me. But the hugest deal is I coached with 3D 3D Muscle Journey, which still blows my mind. Work with 4 of my lifelong heroes as coworkers, basically, coaching natural bodybuilding, powerlifting, and then I host the 3DMJ podcast, which is weekly as well.
Awesome. That's quite the plate you have full.
Oh yeah, sure is.
So most of us and a lot of people that probably your followers know you that as far as doing figure competitions. Mm-hmm. So How has that affected you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually?
It's the hardest thing I've ever done in a few ways. So it was a big game changer for me, not just as an athlete, because I'd only done, gymnastics and cheer, not even only, right? Because that's a big deal, competitive gymnastics, but, it was just a different kind of grind. It's very lonely, but like in a good way. Well, in a bad way, I guess. Right. So it just, I don't know. It's like once you do a prep, you're like, oh shit, I can kind of do everything. And nothing else is really all that bad. Nothing's like half starving all the time.
Right.
So that, and then professionally, I mean, shit, that's the reason I'm here, right? Is I guess, I decided to video diary my entire 2013 prep season with my coach, Alberto Nunez, who I now work with. And professionally, that was kind of when I started my online business. So that's how I guess when you say my followers, that's how I got followers, I guess, is I just videotaped everything I did because I didn't have any friends because I was doing figure. So, it's affected me in a lot of ways.
So let's travel back, and I want to know, what was the why behind you when you first did your first figure competition? What was the why behind it?
It was the hardest thing I could think of doing, and I missed competing in things. So gymnastics, I'd say that was a decade, but it was like 6 to 16 years old. So I'm still like kind of a child, And then the competitive cheer, I had done that since as soon as gymnastics stopped till, I was 26, right? Till I was in grad school in Oklahoma, and I was on like a co-ed adult cheer squad, and it was cool, but there was John O'Chris Boss. Yeah, he's y'all's teammate, Norton. Okay. Yeah. So when I was a graduate assistant, he was getting his PhD while I was getting my master's at the University of Oklahoma, and I get to saw him. Great English. Way to show off my master's degree, right? No,
tonight either.
So I watched him go through it. And I just discovered actually lifting with the semi program, and it was actually changing my body a little, and I was like, fuck it. So, I don't know. I loved it.
So you just always had that competitive edge.
I try to, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, whoa. Hold on. Okay, I'm not finished there.
Right. Okay, ready.
I'm digging deep here. So, what is the reason why you didn't take the gymnastics to that next level if that's something you really enjoyed?
When I was 13, okay, so in gymnastics, right? Competitive gymnastics, there's levels 1 through 10, which is like JO, Junior Olympic, and then elite. And the best elites are like right now, obviously Simone Biles is the best elite in the world, but there's only like a couple hundred elites in the nation at any time. I got to level 9. So I started training like 20 hours a week when I was about 10 years old. And by the time like middle school rolled around, I saw all my friends like cheerleading and doing sport. Like it was either you could do PE or athletics. And I was like, I'm not doing PE, I'm doing athletics because they barely practiced. It was middle school. And then I did cheer. And it was like, I now discovered that even though like there was no IGs at the time, right? But now my friends could see me flip. And I was like, I don't want to stop cheering. But then there's this gymnastics thing. And it was like, I was good at track. I made the A team in basketball, and it was like this conflict of now I could do everything. My body was like just getting beat to shit, injuries all over the place, but I didn't want to stop with my friends thinking I was cool at school, but I also love gymnastics, and it was like this whole thing. So my dad was finally like, "Bro, you can't walk. Let's decide." So, yeah. So actually started coaching gymnastics when I was like 15. So, and I cheered. I did all-star cheer at the gym that I grew up doing gymnastics at. So it was like kind of a compromise. So, and also like, it was hard because when you're younger and impressionable, and I was like, all my friends think this is awesome. And like, I just told them, I'm like, but really at gymnastics, I can do cool things. It was like that weird, like social affirmation, I guess, that I was kind of torn between at a young age. At the time, meh. It was rough, but it's cool. It worked out.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of stay with like the same topic with like competitions and stuff. So we know that like any type of competition prep, like figure, bikini, it's really just a roller coaster all around. You know, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So what are 2 tips that you could give a newbie getting into this sport to really just kind of prepare themselves on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level?
Number 1 is get a coach that you respect, that you've researched, that you 100% will give yourself to. Because one, indecisiveness is the biggest killer in the sport, right? Anyone who wants to make the gains starts hopping programs like crazy. And not only can you not hop programs, just with your nutrition especially, like it's just so much internal questioning in the feels get in the way of you're like, I'm hungry, but I'm not supposed to eat, but like maybe it's refeed time, but like all those crazy things. So just giving it away to someone with an objective view outside your own head is like the number 1 thing. Number 2, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, because it's dangerous in that, well, you guys know it's like after the first shows when it's the worst. Right. That can be super dark. So you think you're just getting into a prep, but you're actually getting into like a year or 2 of like figuring out whether or not you're actually in this for vanity or for health or for, it's I don't know. It can be a giant mindfuck for like the next few years. Not just can be, it almost always is.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, learning how to gain weight and be okay with it. Like I always say, like in the presentation that I just did when we went to London, it's like you end up like, say you start and you think your body's like a 7 or 8, right? And then you prep and you're like, this is the best I've ever looked. It's like 10 out of 10. And then you might look better than when you started at like that 8, but it's not good enough now because you know what 10 is. And so it's that mind fuck that's like, are you ready to look the best you've ever looked? And then you have to be okay only looking like that like 5% of your life maybe.
Right.
So it's just, coaching and really making sure that you have a good idea of what you're getting into.
Yeah. Okay. No, those are really good tips. And,
Thanks.
I would have to add to that too, because it really is like a mind fuck after,
yes.
Especially too, going on stage, just, getting that subjective feedback from all these judges that might not think that you're good enough. So it's very, very hard to swallow like emotionally. And it's just tough. It really is. But not only that, like what you said, the post competition is probably the hardest thing because like you get to this elite like body composition level where you're like, holy shit, you can't believe it. Mm-hmm. But they don't realize that you cannot sustain that. Right. And that's the hardest part, you know what I mean, is having them have to put on a little bit more body fat, get to a realistic body composition to where they're healthy. And that's really like the hardest part for them to absorb.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think we all in the first like season or two were like, but maybe I could look like this forever.
Yeah,
And it's like, no, you
exactly.
fucking can't. Yeah. And it's like, it's hard to realize like, oh, that's not forever. Damn. You know? So you end up like looking better than like off season might be better than you looked 2, 3 years ago, but now it's not good enough in your head. And so it's just like dealing with that.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so transitioning to the next question. So you're now a 3DMJ coach. So which we didn't get to congratulate you. So
Thank you.
congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Huge
That's a big
congrats.
deal because
Thank you.
we're huge 3DMJ advocates. We love the whole team. So I want to know. This is kind of a two-part question. So
Okay.
what was that first initial reaction when you got selected to be a coach for them? And then secondly, now working with them and being a coach, what are your favorite? I would say two favorite things of being a coach.
Oh shit, that's loaded. Okay, the first one, how did I feel?
Right when you first got
It
selected.
it didn't even feel real, and it wasn't even I don't know if it was like a selection. It was more it was really gradual. Like I know because of who you guys like study and follow on a personal and professional level that y'all have heard like the free work, right? Do things for free for people, and it was just like I'd been helping 3D for a couple of years with since there was only 4 dudes. I helped them with posing clinics when I lived in Sacramento. I actually with one of my books when I was on my own, Beyond the Bill, did a contest prep guide for girls. I tried to do one for dudes, and I needed a guy, so Jeff Alberts helped me with the posing portion of that. So it was like, and and I was like, well, let's sell this for you too. Like they didn't really have, they hadn't sold anything online yet as 3D. And so I helped them kind of see what that's like. I approached Eric about the muscle and strength pyramids, and I was like, this is great. You need to do this. I was right. Thank God. It turned out really well. But it was like this whole, we'd helped each other for like a couple years there. And then when we wanted to make this move to Austin about a year and a half ago, I was like, all right, I like doing all this free stuff for people because it helps us all, but like I need to like live in Austin and like make money.
Yeah.
So it was like I'm gonna have to kind of cut back on that so that I can support myself. And it was like, well, but instead of leaving it, maybe I could go further into it. And so this 5 of us just kind of had this pitch. I just kind of pitched to them. I was like, well, what if I just stayed in but went further in? I'd been working, I was talking to them every day, every week, and they know obviously that I'm a product of their upbringing. Yeah. And it was like one of those, okay, well, she can coach while we continue to just further adopt her. So it just kind of wasn't really like a selection because they didn't need another coach, but it was like the other skill set that I had, I guess, proved valuable to the team that I wanted to help with as well. And yeah. So that's how it all came about. And then whenever it was like they had their meeting without me, of course, we're like, okay, we'd love to have you on. And I was like, oh shit. It was I was terrified, dude. Terrified.
Yeah. No, I think that's great though, because this is a great teaching point right here, like what you did. So you, for 2 years, you were a giver, not a taker. You didn't ask for anything back in return, right? These days, people don't really understand that. You know what I mean? To build relationships and stuff, people want, they're so impatient. They just want shit handed to them, right? So number one, that's a great point right there. Just be a giver, not a taker. The second thing was, after 2 years, you just straight up asked them. You know what I mean? Like you had like a nothing to lose mindset. And it was like, if I just ask, okay, they could say yes. If they say no, what am I going to lose out of that? Right. So it's another teaching point. Don't be afraid to ask if you have something valuable to offer. So I think that's awesome. You did that.
That's really awesome.
Dude, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and then it was, again, terrifying.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
It wasn't even, my insecurity wasn't even with the guys or my athletes. It was, what's the internet going to think? Because I know that there's probably 20, 30, 50 people with more degrees and more whatever that were like, well, why her? But it wasn't even, and we could say like, I was a 3D baby and I did this free stuff for whatever. I helped, I gave, right? But it was more like, they're my family. Like, there's a lot of people that, like, I mean, like, I went to their weddings. I've chilled with their kids, been to their houses. It was more, they're very close before me even. Like, they're just a very tight-knit family, and I know that it was just further adoption. It wasn't like, yeah. So I think we just fit personality-wise, I think.
Yeah, and I think too, like another one too. I'm going off right now, but basically, like what you said, you're saying that you're like worried about what the internet was going to think, right? Like, what about other people that have higher degrees and whatnot? But the thing is, people don't understand with coaching is you could have the highest degrees, but if you cannot connect with people and you don't know people, you're not going to be a very effective coach. And I saw that from you the first day I even met you and stuff. You're a good people person, and you could sit there and add value to people's lives. So. Yeah, that's
just develop relationships.
Seriously, I mean, people don't understand that though. With coaching, you have to be able to connect with the client. You just do.
Yeah, that was real nice, y'all.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Absolutely.
So the second part to this question. So, what do you enjoy most about coaching?
Working with the guys.
Okay.
First and foremost, I love my athletes. Don't get me wrong, but it's the opportunity, like I said, to talk to like my fucking heroes every day, you know. And when they ask me things, I'm like, I don't know what y'all think, you know, half the time. But I think it's one, having, you know, surround yourself with the people that are going to help you grow, and they definitely are that for me. And it's also what's weird is of all the places that I've worked. I mean, everyone I've worked with is great or whatever, but this is like, I feel it completely reciprocated, like because of who they are, they want me to grow too. And so it's like getting to learn from them, but also just having like a support system, I guess, of them. Of course, I love talking to my athletes, like I said, and with them too, with athletes, it's just all about learning. Like it's because you can only learn so much about yourself. And I know that us like lifelong learner type of people, we can try things on ourselves and experiment, but it's like I have all these other little people that trust me, and I'm like, okay, I'm learning as we build them together too. So it helps me learn. Because before this, like we talked about, I worked like by myself doing my own website and YouTube channel, and I was super, and I think figure threw me into that, being like super alone. And I'm learning so much this past year because I've finally accepted that I learned through talking. Like this podcast right now is helping me by asking me these questions about myself, you know? So it's just been good to work with people again and learn more about myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like you said it best, it's like a family, and that's huge, you know? So that's awesome. Okay, Andrea, so let's kind of like dig deep here. So run us through a day in the life of Andrea Valdez. And I'm talking day from the morning to the night, and give me times too. Be specific.
Okay. Until about 3, it's exactly the same every fucking day. So I won't wake up any later than 10, but a lot of time, like I don't like waking up to an alarm clock. I feel like whatever time that is, when I have to wake up to an alarm clock, it's like, I don't really like it. I don't feel as rested. So no later than 10, I wake up. I try to look like a human a little bit, put on my training clothes. By that, I mean like brush my teeth, wash my face, stuff like that. And then I go make breakfast, which is the same thing every day.
Hold on. What do you eat and what is it?
Okay. A Jimmy Dean breakfast bowl. They have this egg white with fat-free cheese, turkey, sausage thing. I don't know. It's frozen.
Jimmy Dean's bomb, though. Sounds good.
Right?
Okay.
Good. Oh, it doesn't stop there, though. So while that's cooking, I'm eating a stick. It's stupid. I don't know how I even evolved in this. It's a stick of beef jerky while that's cooking, and I'm making like my drink. And then I eat that, followed by a Quest bar, which is either cookies and cream or s'mores. It alternates each day. Okay. And then half of a white macadamia nut Cliff Bar. I have no idea how that happened, but I know it's 600 calories, and it's like, I could tell you the macros, but it's the same every day.
That's an interesting breakfast.
I know. I don't know how it even started like that. I think it was just the bowl, but then I started this grid training, which was like super intense, and so I ate like a little more, and a little more, and then like now it's like 5 pieces. It's 63 carb, 20 fat, 58 protein.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
It's delicious. And then as soon as I finish that, I go sit down and listen to an audiobook in the middle of my living room floor while I stretch for like an hour. Okay. Stretch and foam roll. Because Brandon's usually not awake. So I listen to audiobooks usually. Otherwise I won't read, and it bothers me. And that, again, anywhere from 30 minutes to maybe an hour even, Then I go to train. And training right now, I have a coach named David Charbonneau who specifically actually coaches grid. Like he's the assistant coach of the DC Brawlers, which is one of the 8 pro grid teams in the U.S. Okay. So he lives in New York, but he does my programming every day. It's not like what we do, how it's like, here's your program, come, for like 4 weeks. It's like legit different every day. So, yeah. And then I go do that. That takes, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours. And then if I have to get groceries, I do that on the way back. If I don't, then I just come back, eat lunch with Brandon. And that actually is when food actually starts to change. It's just the first meal is always the same. And then I take a nap, do whatever I need to do, like to be a functioning human. And then I don't start working till 6.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what time do you end?
I try to eat dinner at 8. So I work like 6 to 8 and 9 to 11 is what I'm trying to stick to. Outside of that, I'll social media, I'll do whatever. I try to like be a functioning human. But that's like when clients, I try to schedule podcasts then, all that stuff. Like the daily normal things I try to get done in that window. Cool. So 6 to 11. Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. I like it. Yeah, see, this is why we ask questions like this. Like, I'm fascinated by people's like day-to-day life, like hour to hour, what they do. So it's cool hearing that. Awesome.
I can't switch it either. There's been times in my life where I'm like, I'll work first because I think about my training, like it's in the back of my brain, and anything I'm doing before, like I'm rushing until I get there. And I feel awesome in the morning, so that's what I want to do. So I legit like spend like 5 hours a day being an athlete before I do anything else.
Gotcha. All right. What do you find most challenging in life right now?
Right now, my YouTube channel, because I let it go. It bothers me. Is that it? And my, now that I'm on 3D, as much as I've just said all this great stuff about how much I love it, I lost my personal brand. And so I don't really know how to balance those. It kind of bothers me a little bit. But I sure as fucking quicker to let myself down than like the team, because they're my family. So I just have to, I don't know how I'm going to figure that out over the next year or 2.
You'll figure it out with time.
Yeah, when it's time. I thought it would have been like a year ago, but it hasn't been time yet, so whatever.
Have Brandon take it over.
Dude, he's blowing up on his own, though. I'm so proud of him. No, he's got shit to do. He actually produces our podcast and a couple others, so I keep him busy.
He's very talented.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. Chris and I are huge proponents of, the 4 pillars of life, which is health, wealth, love, and happiness. Which one do you think that you are kind of like lacking the most right now or want to improve on?
I think that it's the happiness thing for the reason that I just said, not like the personal brand or whatever. Like I want to do everything awesomely. And I know that there's seasons of life and some things have to be pushed more than others at certain times, but I still struggle with being happy failing at some things. Gotcha. Even though I know I have to,
Yeah.
That bothers me.
Okay. No, that's good. All right. Thanks. So we're going to transition into what we call rapid dynamic questions.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Does that mean I have to be rapid?
It's like 30 seconds.
We exaggerate.
Okay.
We exaggerate on it.
All right. Okay. So I had a good understanding of what you do nutrition-wise, right? But this grid training, I want to know a little bit more about this. I'm sure the listeners want to know about this too. So kind of walk us through that. I've never heard of it.
I'm so in love with it. All right. So the NPGL is the National Pro Grid League, right? It's 8 teams from all over the nation. And it's kind of CrossFit, but sprint relays co-ed teams. So there's like legit a grid, like 4 quadrants, and there's 11 races. And each race, it's like you have to go do things as fast as you can. You get points as you win races, and the team with the most points at the end of the 11 races wins. It's Olympic lifting, dumbbells, kettlebells, gymnastics, things like pull-ups, muscle-ups, rings, all kinds of crazy shit. If you watch it on YouTube, that's the only way you'll understand it, I swear. It sounds crazy. So it's like CrossFit skills, but heavier sprint style, and it's actually like position players. If like CrossFit, you have to be good at everything, but here it's like, all right, we have heavy ass weights, so let's pick that girl for that. Then muscle ups, there's a muscle up girl goes there, and like and guy, so it's co-ed. Yeah, the teams are co-ed.
Right. So is it kind of like a WOD too, though? Because you said that each day it's something different that you train on or have a different workout.
It depends. So like usually it's like when I have like a shoulder thing right now, so we're kind of meh. But when I'm healthy, it was like it's usually I start with power things, then strength, then conditioning. So just like anything else, I'd start with Olympic lifting usually, then either, squats, dead, just straight strength. And then it ends with usually either a WOD of some sort. I don't know. Like today it ended with like 6 bike sprints of 15 calories with a minute rest. So it's really anaerobic. Whereas CrossFit's like really, really long. Like I won't do anything for more than a minute at a time. It's like sprint relays.
Dude, that sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna have to check that out on YouTube.
You have to. You have to. I'm obsessed. Anyways, that's what I want to do right now. Yeah, and that's just the reason that came about was because, like we talked about earlier, as a figure athlete, I can't just diet over and over, but I want to compete and stuff. And so I did powerlifting, and it just wasn't enough. I wasn't happy enough. And so since I found this other thing to chase, it's made like everything in my life. Like I'm a bazillion times happier. It's like allowed me to devote absurd amounts of time to being an athlete, and it's okay and accepted and encouraged. And I like that.
Yeah, seriously, good for you for not like following the herd and doing just figure and all that competitions. Like just trying new shit. Seriously,
that's really cool.
Yeah, and figure's always going to be there.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I'm sure at some point my body's going to break and I'll be like, all right, I guess I'll start dieting again. But and I get my fix through coaching too, right? So I still get to talk to the guys. I still get to see my athletes. It's still something I love it because I just love it differently. And like just as a human, I need to push and compete. And the thing is too, like figure and powerlifting, anyone could be in it. Like this, I have to like actually make a team and be good enough. So I'm sure it's going to take a couple years. It's okay.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. So if you had one person that you could sit down and have dinner with, this person could be dead or alive. Who would that be and why?
Oh shit. How long is this conversation?
What are we? We're on like 30 minutes right now. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
No, the conversation I'm gonna have with the this human. Like, do I get 5 minutes with him? Do I get like an hour?
This is like a full dinner, so let's go 1 to 2 hour gap.
Honestly, this is gonna sound really weird, but with my coach, because I've only in real life spent like we text every day. And like we obviously communicate through our training sheet, but when I went to go watch the Grid League last month, I went to Utah to go watch a match. Okay. We talked for like 10-15 minutes, like in person. So I think actually right now that would be the most beneficial thing to me, because I'd be like, what do you think? You know what I mean? Like I can't just Skype. I mean, I guess I could, but I just I'm super fucking driven towards that right now, and it bothers me. And I know that they're going to start recruiting soon. I just want to know, like, can you get me there or what? Yeah. I know it's like slow, but I think that right now.
Okay.
Or the head coach, the guy that he assistant coaches with for that team, just because it's such a new sport. It's only been around for 3 years.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, first time I've heard of it. So cool. All right. Yeah. So when you're not podcasting, you're not coaching, you're not writing, what do you like to do for fun?
I like going out and taking pictures with Brina. I like spending time with B. Like, even though we both work from home. So for listeners, my boyfriend's a professional photographer / videographer / creative things, everything creative. He's done y'all's photo shoots a time or two.
A great photographer.
Thanks. Yeah. But I like when we just go explore places. Like we're curious individuals. So, like last weekend, I got a new camera, which I haven't used because I suck at YouTube, we just talked about. But so he was going me out. We went to Zilker Park, this really giant park here in Austin, and just took a shit ton of pictures for 3 or 4 hours. Stuff like that. I'm pretty simple. I like sleeping a lot. It's pretty cool.
Who doesn't?
Flipping. Yeah. So, yeah, normal things.
Okay. So, when it's all said and done for you, what do you want your legacy to be?
That I didn't settle.
Okay.
Nothing makes me crazier than when people are like, I wish I had your life. It's like, dude, I busted my ass. I wish I could flip like you. Well, I trained since I was 6. Or I wish, it must be nice to talk to the coaches. It's like, again, I worked for them for 3 years. So it's, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone by any means, but I just get really sad seeing like my friends from high school or people that I used to know being like not who they were. Just bothers me. So I just, if anything, I want to be an example of someone who just never settled.
Right.
That's awesome. I like that. That's awesome.
All right, a couple more questions. So next one is, we actually finished the book. It's called The New Era of Fitness. So this past decade, with your experience and everything, do you think we're in a new era of fitness, and why?
I do, because right now I feel like the sports are all like blending. They're not such dicks about everything. Mm-hmm. So no one's like, I'm a bodybuilder, this is that, I'm a powerlifter, this is that, I'm a CrossFit. Like there's some people that are obviously still real dogmatic about dumb shit like that, but I feel like there are people who have probably because of the internet, just more open minds, that you can learn everything. You can learn shit from every sport.
Right.
I don't know. That I think that's a big deal. It's like the internet changes it because you get access to it, and then online coaching, right? So it's not like there's no grid here, like I had to find a coach wherever. When I was in Oklahoma, there was no natural bodybuilding coaches really, like where I started. So I, used the internet, and then I moved and all that shit. That's another thing too, right? With the Never Settling, I wish I could hang out with the 3D guys. It's like I moved halfway across the country to hang out with the 3D guys. So I think that it is a new era because people are getting smarter about it.
Yeah.
And being more resourceful.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so last and final question. What is your definition of living a dynamic lifestyle?
Along with the never settling thing, it's always adjusting. So just as dynamic, like what I want now isn't what I wanted 3 years ago. I didn't even know this was possible 3 years ago. And my life's gonna look different every year. It always has. Right. And I think that's the best definition of it, is making sure that your brain's like that you're listening to yourself, and adjusting course to continue your own happiness, whatever that is.
So constantly evolving and just growing as a person.
Quick to change if you need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. So before we ask you where our listeners can follow you, I want to personally acknowledge you, and this is coming from this other twin and from the eyebrows and the hearts. Okay.
Okay.
So we've met once in Sacramento. We've been following your work. We've collaborated before. I just want to acknowledge you for your courage, for being a giver, not a taker, and for actually putting a team in front of your own personal goals first. And just doing everything that you've done these past, 5 years in the industry, just making it a better place. So I want to highly acknowledge you for that.
Yeah, it's been amazing watching you grow, and just
thank you.
Awesome. So yeah.
Don't make me cry on the podcast, y'all. That was real nice. Thanks to you guys. Like you said, we met so long ago, and look at where the fuck we are.
No,
it's crazy.
Exactly. And it's just keep going, to the top. So.
Thanks, guys. Same to y'all.
All right. Before we all start crying, where can our listeners follow you and your work?
My favorite thing right now is Snapchat. So you can legit follow me every day being absurd on Snapchat. And that's AV_fit. Okay. I also actually keep up with Instagram too. So ish. And my personal one, AV_fit. And I just started one only for bodybuilding things, AV_3DMJ. What else do I have? AVFit is Twitter too. Oh, the podcast. You can hear me talk for 2 absurd hours. Yeah. So the 3DMJ podcast is me and 2 of the 4 coaches all the time. I think we're going to start having guests soon. But the 3DMJ podcast, it's natty bodybuilding, powerlifting stuff. Yeah. And when I do have my website going again, you can go to andreavaldez.net, but not much has happened there in a while, but I'm working on it, y'all.
There you go. All right, guys. So we'll have all of that in the show notes for you guys. Andrea, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to our video. We really, really appreciate it. And before you guys go, make sure to subscribe below to our newsletter so you guys can get our free and new book, The 4 Pillars of Becoming Dynamic Within Fitness.